You were mentioning how 50 doesn't care at all. So what were your thoughts on 50 when he dropped the F You song immediately after coming back?
When you drop, just hearing that, for one, I thought Primo did the beat, right? So I was just hooked on that beat. Then I heard Clark Kent did it. Then I hear I don't give a f- who you are, and then he just got shot, and he's still going. So you like, yo, this motherfucker crazy, yo. So you like, hold on a second, do I want to stand next to him? Yo, my cousin was like, yo, they're gonna kill this motherfucker. You need to, yo, what are you doing next to him? He didn't want me around him. He was like, yo, get away from him. Everybody was like, nah, bro, this dude is going too far. But those lyrics was from his heart. He was in that pain. That was in him. And he was giving it in real life, pouring it on a record. And that's what music really is. Those real emotions of real life. That's why it really everyone could feel it. Cause he wasn't just telling a lie, telling some story, doing what these average rappers are doing now. He was telling you some real shit going on in his life. And he said, I don't give a who you are. Fuck you. And he really meant that. He don't give a who you are. So this is me learning who he is still, but not realizing how heartless this man is, man. And when you hear these names and everybody's calling out and what the lines he's saying, you're like, he killed that record. Line for line, bars for bar, flow for flow. That record was it, and that's was like everybody's like, yo, more. We want some more. What's more? What's going on? And that's when he came to the crib because he couldn't be in Clark Kent studio with all these different Brooklyn heads, and he didn't like that. So he wanted it to be his crew and no one else. He was in control. And with me, I wasn't. I was shy self, so I wasn't around a whole bunch of people. He come to my house, it's just me. So he had control over that. So it was him and his crew with just me, and we recorded and recorded. After you, he knew every record after that, 50 bars, what Follow Me Gangster, everything was about him talking that that was going on, and everybody just soaked that up, man. It was crazy. So initially, when he came to my house, after his mouth was wired, you know, I heard his voice was different, the tone was different, and I had like ADAT machine. I was just learning how to record vocals. I was really just a producer at the time, but he wanted to cut these records, so I had my ADAT. I would have my boy Kyle Miller, who had another ADAT, come bring his. So we had was able to have about 16 tracks, so he could do his backgrounds and all of that, and I would just have a 2 track of the track. And initially, it was like my beats, like 50 bars and Bad News. The first G Unit record ever recorded was my beat, Bad News, which ended up on the soundtrack. So was Follow Me Gangsta ended up on the DMX Jet Li soundtrack. And that year, he started bubbling up and putting records in places that were kind of buzzing for him. He would want to do freestyles. And I'd be like, yo, I don't have that instrumental. He was like, yo, I don't care. Play the vocals. You should be here. And you could hear the guy still singing in the background, the song still playing, but he rapping over it. And we would just have to edit it and like on an MP, dump it in, and he just rapping over it. And I'm like, yo, let me call my boy from Universal, Dino. He might have the instrumental. And then we started getting that, and I started plugging that part. And then he was like, yo, we're gonna take this Mobb Deep record, bump that. We're gonna do that. So he just had a vision for everything. We cut records. Some of them are freestyles. And then initially, before it was a mixtape, those freestyles was like, yo, send this to Clue, send this to Envy, send this to Doo Wop, send this to Enough, send this to Cutmaster C. And that Cutmaster C one, oh, that record played me for a hoopty and I bought you. That one right there, he performed that on tour. Everyone loved that. It was over the state property beat. I found a part at the end of that record where I could loop it. And I looped it off of that state property album. And he made that song better than this. Because I never listened to their song after that. And I'm telling you, he had all these ideas, man. And he would like, take that, take that. Just bring it or I'll find it, get it, loop it. And he'd just cut these records nonstop. We doing 2, 3 songs a day. And if he stopped, he's like, yo, I want to introduce you to my boy, Tony Yayo. Tony Yayo come in, yo, I want to introduce you to my boy, Lloyd Banks. Then he bring Lloyd Banks in, and then all of a sudden, his G Unit. And then he's sitting at the front of my, I'm at the board, and he was like, this is gonna be my crew. And he had this tattoo, but smaller right here. And he was like, yo, you help me get them, and we're gonna take this together. And I'm like, yo, let's do it. And at that time, no one, Yayo was in front of a mic, like he wasn't even rapping it in front of it. He was behind it. So I was like, yo, bro, you don't know what you're doing? Like they was just used to freestyling and doing that. I'm like, nah, you got to do it like this. So they were brand new. brand new. But Banks went in there, and I was like, yo, this motherfucker crazy. He just blacked out. And Yayo had that energy, and we did that Bad News record. And let me tell you, man, that shit was a game changer, man. So we just was a year, at least a year and a half in my basement without y'all, at least a year before y'all heard anything. Q was the record that was going out, and then a few started coming out slowly. But once we dropped Guess Who's Back, and then 50 Cent Was the Future was a month after, it's just God's plan, no mercy, no fear. This guy worked unlike anyone else. And we had all these records loaded. And on those albums, all those mixtapes, they became street albums. There was always a single. Wangster was on this one. You know what I mean? Like, you pull this record off of that one, and then you'll rock it like it was a single. And that was his formula. And then even when he was about to drop the album, it was like, no more mixtapes. And he still dropped the mixtape. So, but he made the mixtape street enough so you would soak that up for the streets, but then buy this for the mainstream. So he knew how to balance it. And Jimmy and them, and no one would shut him down because it was working. And it was his marketing approach. And literally, the first mixtape, we're in my basement, me and my boy, Jay. I ain't going to even shout him out from EMS, but, he was there. And he was the one that taught me how to duplicate all the CDs, get the machine. Then we had to print the cards, so we would put it all in my sleeves. And then we would have a route. So the 50 Cent Is the Future was the first mixtape where we said, all right, after Guess Who's Back, just like that, we're going to take this freestyle that we did for everybody, and a few new records that we cut and put it together. I called my guy Don Morris, who did an interview for Double XL that I was at, and he was a photographer, and I took his contact. This dude was this crazy, wild, like, he was just nuts, but he was the illest photographer I met, but me and him bonded. So away from that, I was like, yo, I'll pay you on the side. Yo, take this photo shoot for 50 and his crew. So I set up the photo shoot, come to 20, I think it was like 26th Street and 11th, some photo shoot right under the train trestle. He set up that shot. Fifth was the one that came with the Air Forces, the shirts, the tank tops with the colors. He did all the coloring himself. He had the image, then he had the green and white. We did God's Plan. We did all the album covers in that one photo shoot. And 50 Cent Future with the red, white, and blue was all in that. And then Don, he said, take the logo from his arm, the G Unit, and put it right there. 50 Cent Is the Future with the G Unit. That's the first time you've seen the logo actually on a print from a tattoo. So he made the tattoo and the logo up. You know what I'm saying? So now we're taking that on the artwork and we put that mixtape out. It's over. The next day, I'm thinking I could go to Canal Street again and sell some more. The African bootleg market is deep, man. It's 24 hours, bro. You ain't gonna. That is already there. They already duplicating that. So that was everywhere. I couldn't even go to the store and sell it no more. And Fizz was like, you make some money? I was like, yo, bro, it's $2,000, bro. Here, like, it's $3,000, bro. He's like, nah, keep that. Pay your electric bill. I was like, all right, good luck, bro. And then we just like, you know what I'm saying? But that was on the mixtape. But then after that, I never cared about the mixtape money, and that's where DJ Hookie came in. Because after the first 50 Cent Was the Future, my cousin, he was scared. He was the one that told me, stay away from him. They're going to get him. But I was like, nah, he the one. And then after he saw that first mixtape come out, he realized I was right. And then he came in, and then he became the DJ that was the name behind, the voice behind all the mixtapes moving forward. And that was the whole run after that.
If you want to see this full interview without having to wait, you can join our YouTube memberships program for just $8 a month. You get the full interview, behind-the-scenes footage, and no ads. If you want more, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/diverse mentality. And for $10 a month, you can not only get these full interviews immediately, but also get uncut and ad-free documentaries as well. The link is in the description for both.